Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, August 4th, Monday, August 5th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And thank you so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Wild High Clubhouse tonight. So grateful that you guys could join us. I hope you guys enjoyed the show last night. We did some trippy TikToks. And tonight we're going to be getting back into Douglas Adams' Hitchhikers to the Guide Galaxy series. And we're on the third book, which is Life, the Universe, and Everything. And it's been pretty epic so far. If you're listening to us live, you may be listening to us on Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. You can also find us on KPNL Radio, which you can find on KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com, as well as eTalk Radio, which you can find at etalk.tv/radio. If you like to watch as well as listen, you can find us under We Are Paradox Media on Facebook, as well as YouTube and Twitch. If you want to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, just tune into us like basically wherever you listen to your podcast, and you'll be able to find us there. You're a bit kind of off kilter today. So here's the book we're going to be reading, Douglas Adams' Life, the Universe, and Everything. Let me check the sound really quick, make sure we're doing what. Looking good. Let me turn down this tunage a little bit. Go down to the 50s, see how that does. Check my mic too. It looks like it's an okay level. We could boost it up a little bit. I don't want to blow out your earballs. If it's too hot, just let me know. It is too hot here, I can say that for sure. Alright, let's get on to it. Chapter 8. The body of Arthur Dent spun. The universe shattered into a million glittering fragments around it, and each particular shard spun silently through the void, reflecting on its silver surface some single, searing holocaust of fire and destruction. And then the blackness behind the universe exploded, and each particular piece of blackness was the furious smoke of hell. And the nothingness behind the blackness behind the universe erupted, and behind the nothingness behind the blackness behind the shattered universe was at last the dark figure of an immense man speaking immense words. These then, said the figure, speaking from an immensely comfortable chair, were the Cricket Wars and the greatest devastation ever visited upon our galaxy. What you have experienced? Slarty Bart Fast floated past waving. It's just a documentary, he called out. This is not a good bit. Terribly sorry. Trying to find the rewind control is what billions upon billions of innocent do not, called out Slarty Bart Fast, floating past again and fiddling furiously with the thing that he had stuck into the wall of the room of informational illusions, and that was in fact still stuck there. Agreed to buy anything at this point. People, creatures, your fellow beings. Music swelled again. It was immense music, immense chords, and behind the man, slowly, 3 tall pillars began slowly to emerge out of the immensely swirling mist. Experienced, lived through, or more often failed to live through, think of that, my friends, and let us not forget. And in just a moment, I shall be able to suggest a way that will help us always to remember that before the Cricket Wars, the galaxy was that rare and wonderful thing, a happy galaxy. The music was going bananas with immensity at this point. A happy galaxy, my friends, as represented by the symbol of the Wicket Gate. 3 pillars stood out clearly, now 3 pillars topped with 2 crosspieces in a way that looked stupefyingly familiar to Arthur's addled brain. The 3 pillars thundered the man the still pillar, which represents the strength and power of the galaxy. Searchlights seared out and danced crazy dances up and down the pillar on the left that was made of steel, or something very much like it. The music thumped and bellowed. The plastic pillar, announced the men, representing the forces of science and reason in the galaxy. Other searchlights played exotically up and down. Right-hand transparent pillar created dazzling patterns within it and a sudden inexplicable craving for ice cream in the stomach of Arthur Dent. And, the thunderous voice continued, the wooden pillar representing, and here his voice became just very slightly hoarse with wonderful sentiments, the forces of nature and spirituality. The lights picked out the central pillar. The music moved bravely up into the realms of complete unspeakability. Between them, supporting, the voice rolled on, approaching its climax, the golden bell of prosperity and the silver bell of peace. The whole structure was now flooded with dazzling lights, and the music had now fortunately gone far beyond the limits of the discernible at the top. Of the three pillars, the two brilliantly gleaming bells sat and dazzled. There seemed to be girls sitting on top of them, or maybe they were meant to be angels. Angels usually are represented as wearing more than that, though. Suddenly, there was a dramatic hush in what was presumably meant to be the cosmos, and a darkening of the lights. There's not a world, thrilled the man's expert voice, not a civilized world in the galaxy where this symbol is not revered even today. Even in primitive worlds, it persists in racial memories. This it was that forces of cricket destroyed, and this it is that now locks their world away till the end of eternity. And with a flourish, the man produced in his hands a model of the wicket gate. Scale was terribly hard to judge in this whole extraordinary spectacle, but the model looked as if it had, or must have been, about 3 feet high. Not the original key, of course, that, as everyone knows, was destroyed, blasted into the ever-whirling eddies in the space-time continuum, and lost forever. This is a remarkable replica, hand-tooled by skilled craftsmen, lovingly assembled using ancient craft secrets into a memento you will be proud to own, in memory of those who fell and in tribute to the galaxy, our galaxy, which they died to defend. Sorry, Bartfast floated past again at this moment. Found it, he said. We can lose all this rubbish. Just don't nod, that's all. Now let us bow our heads in payment. Intoned the voice, and then said it again, much faster and backward. Lights came and went, the pillars disappeared. The man gabbled himself backward into nothing. The universe snappily resembled itself around them. You get the gist? Said Slarty Bartfast. I'm astonished, said Arthur, and bewildered. I was asleep, said Ford, who floated into view at this point. Did I miss anything? They found themselves once again teetering rather rapidly on the edge of the agonizingly high cliff. The wind whipped out from their faces and across the bay on which the remains of one of the greatest and most powerful space battle fleets ever assembled in the galaxy were briskly burning themselves back into existence. The sky was a sullen pink, darkening via a rather curious color, to blue and upward to black. Smoke billowed down out of it at an incredible flick. Events were now passing back by them, almost too quickly to be distinguished. And when, a short while later, a huge star battleship rushed away from them, as if they'd said, "Ooh," they only just recognized it at this point, at which they had come in. But now things were too rapid. A video tactile blur that brushed and jiggled them through centuries of galactic history. Turning, twisting, flickering, the sound was a mere thin trill. Periodically, throughout the thickening jumble of events, they sensed appalling catastrophes, deep horrors, cataclysmic shocks, and these were always associated with certain recurring images. The only images which ever stood out clearly from the avalanche of tumbling history. A wicket gate, a small, red, hard ball, and hard white robots, and also something less distinct, something dark and cloudy. But there was also another sensation that rose clearly out of the trilling passage of time. Just as a slow series of clicks, when speeded up, will lose the definition of each individual click and gradually take on the quality of a sustained and rising tone. So a series of individual impressions here took on the quality of a sustained emotion, and yet not an emotion. If it was an emotion, it was a totally emotionless one. It was hatred, implacable hatred. It was cold, not like ice is cold, but like a wall is cold. It was impersonal, not like a randomly flung fist in a crowd is impersonal, but like a computer-issued parking summons is impersonal. And it was deadly. Again, not like a bullet or a knife is deadly, but like a brick wall across an expressway is deadly. And just as a rising tone will change in character and take on harmonies as it rises, so again, this emotionless emotion seemed to rise to an unbearable, if unheard scream, and suddenly seemed to be a scream of guilt and failure. And suddenly it stopped. They were left standing on a quiet hilltop on a tranquil evening. The sun was setting. All around them, a softly undulating green countryside rolled off gently into the distance. Birds sang about what they thought of it all, and the general opinion seemed to be good. A little way off could be heard the sound of children playing, and a little further away than that, the apparent source of that sound could be seen in the dimming evening light, the outlines of a small town. The town appeared to consist mostly of fairly low buildings made of white stone. The skyline was of gentle, pleasing curves. The sun had nearly set. As if out of nowhere, music began. Slarty Bartfast tugged at a switch and it stopped. A voice said, "This." Slarty Bartfast tugged at a switch and it stopped. "I will tell you about it," he said quietly. The place was peaceful. Arthur felt happy. Even Ford seemed cheerful. They walked a short way in the direction of the town, and the informational illusion of the grass was pleasant and springy under their feet. And the informational illusion of the flowers smelled sweet and fragrant. Only Slarty Bartfast seemed apprehensive and out of sorts. He stopped and looked up. It suddenly occurred to Arthur that coming as this did at the end, so to speak, or rather the beginning of all the horror that they had just blurrily experienced, something nasty must be about to happen. He was distressed to think that something nasty could happen somewhere as idyllic as this. He too glanced up. There was nothing in the sky. "They're not about to attack here, are they?" he said. He realized that this was merely a recording he was walking through, but he still felt alarmed. "Nothing is about to attack here," said Slarty Bartfast in a voice that unexpectedly trembled with emotion. "This is where it all starts. This is the place itself. This is Cricket." He stared up into the sky. The sky, from one horizon to another, from east to west, from north to south, was utterly and completely black. Chapter 9. Stomp, stomp, weir. Pleased to be of service. Shut up. Thank you. Stomp, 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 stomp. Weir. Thank you for making a simple door very happy. Hope your diodes rot. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stomp, 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 stomp. Weir. It was my pleasure to open for you. Zark off. And my satisfaction to close again with knowledge of a job well done. I said zark off. Thank you for listening to this message. Stomp, 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 stomp. Well, Sapphire stopped stomping. He had been stomping around the Heart of Gold for days, and so far, no door had said walk to him. He was fairly certain that no door had said walk to him now. It was not the sort of thing that doors said. Too concise, furthermore, there were not enough doors. It sounded as if 100,000 people had said walk, which puzzled him because he was the only person on the ship. It was dark. Most of the ship's non-essential systems were closed down. It was drifting idly in a remote area of the galaxy, deep in the inky blackness of space. So which particular 100,000 people would turn up at this point and say a totally unexpected whop? He looked about him, up the corridor and down the corridor. It was all in deep shadow. There were just the very dim pinkish outlines to the doors that glowed in the dark and pulsed. Whenever they spoke, though, he had tried every way he could think of to stop them. The lights were off so that his heads could avoid looking at each other, because neither of them was currently a particularly engaging sight, nor had they seen or been since he had made the error of looking into his soul. It had indeed been an aim. It had been late one night, of course. It had been a difficult day, of course. There had been soulful music playing on the ship's sound system, of course. And he had, of course, been slightly drunk. In other words, all the usual conditions that bring on a bout of soul-searching had applied. But it had nevertheless clearly been an error. Standing now silent and alone in the dark corridor, he remembered the moment and shivered. His one head looked one way, and his other the other, and each decided that the other way was the way to go. He listened, but could hear nothing. All there had been was the walk. It seemed an awfully long way to bring an awfully large number of people just to say one word. He started nervously to edge his way in the direction of the bridge. There, at least, he would feel in control. He stopped again. The way he was feeling, he didn't think he was an awfully good person to be in control. The first shock of that moment, thinking back, had been discovering that he actually had a soul. In fact, he'd always more or less assumed that he had one, as he had had a full complement of everything else, and indeed two of some things, but suddenly, actually, to encounter the thing lurking there deep within him had given him a severe jolt. And then to discover, this was the second shock, that it wasn't the totally wonderful object that he felt a man in his position had a natural right to expect had jolted him again. Then he had thought about what his position actually was, and renewed shock had nearly made him spill his drink. He drained it quickly before anything serious happened to it. He then had another quick one to follow the first one down and check that it was all right. "Freedom!" he said aloud. Trillian came onto the bridge at that point and said several enthusiastic things on the subject of freedom. "I can't cope with it," he said darkly, and sent a third drink down to see why the second hadn't yet reported on the condition of the first. He looked uncertainly at both of her and preferred the one on the right. He poured a drink down his other throat with the plan that it would head the previous one off at the pass. Join forces with it, and together they would get the second to pull itself together. Then all three would go off in search of the first, give it a good talking to. He felt uncertain as to whether the fourth drink had understood all that he had said, so he sent down a fifth to explain the plan more fully, and a sixth for moral support. "You're drinking too much," said Trillian. His heads collided, trying to sort out the four of her. He could now see into a whole person. He gave up and looked at the navigation screen and was astonished to see the quite phenomenal number of stars. "Excitement and adventure and really wild things," he muttered. "Look," she said, sympathetic tone of voice, and sat down near him. "It's quite understandable that you're going to feel a little aimless for a bit." He boggled at her. He had never seen anyone sit on their own lap before. "Wow," he said. He had another drink. "You finished the mission you've been on for years." "Haven't been on it. I've tried to avoid being on it." "You've still finished it." He grunted. There seemed to be a terrific party going on in his stomach. "I think it finished me," he said. "Here I am, Zaphod Beeblebrox. I can go anywhere, do anything. I have the greatest ship in the known sky, a girl with whom things seem to be working out pretty well." "Are they?" "As far as I can tell. I'm not an expert in personal relationships." Trillian raised her eyebrows. "I am," he added, "one hell of a guy. I can do anything I want. I just don't have the faintest idea what." He paused. "One thing," he further added, "has suddenly ceased to lead to another." In contradiction of which he had another drink and slid gracelessly off his chair. While he slept it off, Trillian did a little research in the ship's copy of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It had some advice to offer on drunkenness. "Go to it," it said, "and good luck." It was cross-reference to the entry concerning the size of the universe and ways of coping with that. Then she found the entry on Hanwab, an exotic holiday planet and one of the wonders of the galaxy. Wobble is a world that consists largely of fabulous, ultra-luxury hotels and casinos, all of which have been formed by the natural erosion of wind and rain. The chances of this happening are more or less 1 to infinity against. Little is known of how this came about because none of the geophysicists, probability statisticians, meteor analysts, or bizarrologists who are so keen to research it can afford to stay there. Terrific, thought Trillian to herself, and within a few hours the great white running shoe ship was slowly powering down out of the sky beneath the hot, brilliant sun toward a brightly colored sandy spaceport. The ship was clearly causing a sensation on the ground, and Trillian was enjoying herself. She heard Zaphod moving around and whistling somewhere in the ship. "How are you?" she said over the general intercom. "Fine," he said brightly. "Terribly well." "Where are you?" "In the bathroom." "Well, what are you doing?" "Staying here." After an hour or two, it became clear that he meant it, and the ship returned to the sky without having once opened its hatchway. "Hi-ho," said Eddie, the computer. Trillian nodded patiently, tapping her fingers a couple of times and pushing the intercom switch. "I think that enforced fun is probably not what you need at this point." "Probably not," said Zaphod from wherever he was. "I think a bit of physical challenge would help draw you out of yourself." "Whatever you think, I think," said Zaphod. Recreational Impossibilities was a heading that caught Trillian's eye when, a short while later, she sat down to flip through the guide again, and as the heart of gold rushed at improbable speeds in an indeterminate direction, she sipped a cup of something undrinkable from the Nutrimatic Drinks dispenser and read about how to fly. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was this to say on the object of flying. There is an art, it says, or rather a knack to flying. The knack lies in learning how to throw yourself at the ground and miss. Hey Adrian, what's up? Pick a nice day, it suggests, and try it. First part is easy. All it requires is simply the ability to throw yourself forward with all your weight and willingness not to mind that it's going to hurt. That is, it's going to hurt if you fail to miss the ground. Most people fail to miss the ground, and if they are really trying properly, the likelihood is that they will fail to miss it fairly hard. Clearly, it is this second part, the missing, which presents the difficulties. One problem is that you have to miss the ground accidentally. It's no good deliberately intending to miss the ground because you won't. You have to have your attention suddenly distracted by something else when you're halfway there, so that you are no longer thinking about falling or about the ground or about how much it's going to hurt if you fail to miss it. It's notoriously difficult to prise your attention away from these three things during the split second you have at your disposal. Hence, most people's failure and their eventual disillusionment with this exhilarating and spectacular sport. If, however, you are lucky enough to have your attention momentarily distracted at the crucial moment by, say, a gorgeous pair of legs, tentacles, pseudopodia, according to film and or personal inclination, or a bomb going off in your vicinity, or by suddenly spotting an extremely rare species of beetle crawling along a nearby twig, then in your astonishment you will miss the ground completely and remain bobbing just a few inches above it in what might seem to be a slight foolish manner. This is a moment for superb and delicate concentration. Bob and float, float and bob. Ignore all the considerations of your own weight and simply let yourself wave higher. Do not listen to what anybody says to you at this point because they are unlikely to say anything helpful. They are most likely to say something along the lines of, "Good God, you can't possibly be flying." It is vitally important not to believe them or they will suddenly be right. Wave higher and higher. Try a few swoops. Gentle ones at first, then drift above the treetops, breathing regularly. Do not wave at anybody. When you have done this a few times, you will find the moment of distraction rapidly becomes easier and easier to achieve. You will then learn all sorts of things about how to control your flight, your speed, your maneuverability, and the trick usually lies in not thinking too hard about whatever you do, but just allowing it to happen, as it were going to anyways. You'll also learn about how to land properly, which is something you will almost certainly screw up, and screw up badly, on your first attempt. There are private flying clubs you can join, which help you achieve the all-important moment of distraction. They hire people with surprising bodies or opinions to leap out from behind bushes and exhibit and or explain them at a critical moment. Few genuine hitchhikers will be able to afford to join these clubs, but some may be able to get temporary employment at them. Julian read this longingly, but reluctantly decided that Zaphod wasn't really in the right frame of mind for attempting to fly, or for walking through mountains, or for trying to get the Bratisvogen civil service to acknowledge change of address card, which were the other things listed under the heading of recreational impossibilities. Instead, she flew the ship to Alosimanias Sinica, a world of ice, snow, mind-hurtling beauty, and stunning cold. The trek from the snow plains of Liska to the summit of the ice crystal pyramids of Sastanchua is long and growing, even with jet skis and a team of Sinica snowhounds. But the view from the top, a view which takes in the Stin Glacier fields, the shimmering Prism Mountains, and the far ethereal dancing ice lights, is one which first freezes the mind and then slowly releases it to hitherto experienced horizons of beauty. And Trillian, for one, felt that she could do with a bit of having her mind slowly released to hitherto unexperienced horizons of beauty. They went into a low orbit. There lay the silver-white beauty of the Alosimanias Sinica beneath them. Zaphod stayed in bed with one head stuck under a pillow and the other doing crosswords till late into the night. Trillian nodded patiently again, counted to a sufficiently high number, and told herself that the important thing now was just to get Zaphod talking. She prepared, by dint of deactivating all the robot kitchen symptomatics, the most fabulously delicious meal she could contrive. Delicately oiled meats, scented fruits, fragrant cheeses, fine Aldebaran wines. She carried it through to him and asked if he felt like talking things through. "Sark off," said Zaphod. Julie nodded patiently to herself, counted to an even higher number, tossed the tray lightly aside, walked to the transport room, and just teleported herself the hell out of his life. She didn't even program any coordinates. She hadn't the faintest idea where she was going. She just went. A random row of dots flowing through the universe. Anything, she said to herself as she left, is better than this. Good job, too, muttered Zaphod to himself, turned over, and fell to go to sleep. The next day he restlessly paced the empty corridors of the ship, pretending not to look for her, though he knew she wasn't there. He ignored the computer's querulous demands to know just what the hell was going on around here by fitting a small electronic gag across a pair of its terminals. After a while, he began to turn down the lights. There was nothing to see. Nothing was about to happen. Lying in bed one night, and night was now virtually continuous on the ship, he decided to pull himself together to get things into some kind of perspective. He sat up sharply and started to put clothes on. He decided that there must be someone in the universe feeling more wretched, miserable, and forsaken than himself, and he determined to set out and find him. Halfway to the bridge, it occurred to him that it might be Marvin, and he returned to bed. It was a few hours later than this, as he stomped disconsolately about the darkened corridors, swearing at cheerful doors, that he heard the walk said, and it made him very nervous. He leaned tensely against the corridor wall and frowned like a man trying to unbend a corkscrew by telekinesis. He laid his fingertips against the wall and felt an unusual vibration. And now he could quite clearly hear slight noises, and could hear where they were coming from. They were coming from the bridge. Moving his hand along the wall, he came across something he was glad to find. He moved on a little farther, quietly. "Computer?" he hissed. Said the computer terminal nearest him, equally quietly. "Is there someone on this ship?" Said the computer. "Who is it?" Said the computer. "What?" Zaphod buried one of his faces into of his hands. "Oh, Zarquan," he muttered to himself. Then he stared up the corridor toward the entrance to the bridge in the dim distance from which more and purposeful noises were coming, in which he gagged terminals were situated. "Computer," he hissed again. When I am gaggy, remind me to punch myself in the mouth. Either one. Now just tell me this. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Is it dangerous? It is? You didn't just go twice. He inched his way up the corridor, as if he would rather be yardening his way down it, which was true. He was within 2 yards of the door to the bridge when he suddenly realized, to his horror, that it was going to be nice to him, and he stopped dead. He hadn't been able to turn off the door's courtesy voice circuits. This doorway to the bridge was concealed from the view within it because of the extremely chunky way in which the bridge had been designed to curve around, and he had been hoping to enter unobserved. He leaned despondently back against the wall again and said some words that his other head was quite shocked to hear. He peered at the dim pink outline of the door and discovered that in the darkness of the corridor he could just about make out the sensor field that extended out into the corridor and told the door when there was someone there for whom it must open and to whom it must make a cheery and pleasant remark. He pressed himself hard back against the wall and edged himself toward the door, flattening his chest as much as he possibly could to avoid brushing against the very, very dim perimeter of the field. He held his breath and congratulated himself on having lain in bed sulking for the last few days rather than trying to work out his feelings on chest expanders in the ship's gym. He then realized he was going to have to speak at this point. He took a series of very shallow breaths and then said as quickly and as quietly as he could, "Door, if you can hear me, say so very, very quietly." "Very, very quietly," the door murmured. "I can hear you." "Good. Now in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open. When you open, I do not want you to say that you enjoyed it, okay?" "Okay." "And I don't want you to say to me that I have made a simple door very happy or that it is your pleasure to open for me and your satisfaction to close again with the knowledge of a job well done, okay?" "Okay." "Now I do not want you to ask me to have a nice day, understand?" "I understand." "Okay," said Zaphod, tensing himself. "Open now." The door slid open quietly. Zaphod slipped quietly through the door, closing quietly behind him. "Is that the way you like it, Mr. Beeblebrox?" said the door out loud. "I want you to imagine," said Zaphod to the group of white robots, who swung round to stare at him at that point, "that I have an extremely powerful kilo-zap blaster pistol in my hand." There was an immensely cold and savage silence. The robots regarded him with hideously dead eyes. They stood very still. There was something intensely macabre about their appearance, especially to Zaphod, who had never seen one before or even known anything about them. The Cricket Wars belonged to the ancient past of the galaxy, and Zaphod had spent most of his early history lessons plotting how he was going to have sex with the girl in the cyber cubicle next to him. And since his teaching computer had been an integral part of this plot, it had eventually had all its history circuits wiped and replaced with an entirely different set of ideas that had been resulted in its being scrapped and sent to a home of degenerate cybermats. Whether it was followed by the girl who had inadvertently fallen deeply in love with the unfortunate machine, with the result that A, Zaphod never got near her, and B, he missed out on a period of ancient history that would have been immensely and inestimably valued to him at this moment. He stared at them in shock. It was impossible to explain why, but their smooth and sleek white bodies seemed to be the utter embodiment of clean, clinical evil. From their hideously dead eyes to their powerful, lifeless feet, they were clearly the calculated product of a mind that wanted simply to kill. Zaphod gulped in cold fear. They had been dismantling part of the rear wall and had forced a passage through some of the vital innards of the ship. Through the tangled wreckage, Zaphod could see, with a further and worse sense of shock, that they were tunneling toward the very heart of the ship. The heart of the improbability drive that had been so mysteriously created out of thin air. the heart of gold itself. The robot closest to him was regarding him in such a way as to suggest that it was measuring each minute particle of his body, mind, and capability. And when it spoke, it said what it said seemed to bear this impression out. Before going on to what it actually said, it was worth recording at this point that Zaphod was the first living organic being to hear one of these creatures speak for something over 10 billion years. If he had paid more attention to this ancient history lesson, and less to his organic being, he might have been more impressed by this honor. The robot's voice was like its body, cold, sleek, and lifeless. It had almost a cultured rasp to it. It sounded as ancient as it was. It said, "You do have a kilozap blaster pistol in your hand." Zaphod didn't know what it meant for a moment, but then he glanced down at his own hand and was relieved to see that what he had found clipped to a wall bracket was indeed what he had thought it was. "Yeah," he said in a kind of relieved sneer, which is quite tricky. "Well, I wouldn't want to overtax your imagination, robot." For a while, nobody said anything, and Zaphod realized that the robots were obviously not here to make conversation, and that it was up to him. "I can't help noticing that you have parked your ship," he said with a nod of one of his heads in the appropriate direction, "through mine." There was no denying this. Without regard for any kind of proper dimensional behavior, they had simply materialized their ship precisely where they wanted it to be, which meant that it was simply locked through the heart of gold as if they were nothing more than two cones. Again, they made no response to this, and Zaphod wondered if the conversation would gather any momentum if he phrased this part of it in the form of questions. "Haven't you?" he added. "Yes," replied the robot. Okay," said Zaphod. "So what are you cats doing here?" Silence. "Robots," said Zaphod. "What are you robots doing here?" "We have come," rasped the robot, "for the Golden Veil." Zaphod nodded. He waggled his gun to invite further elaboration. The robot seemed to understand this. "The Golden Bell is part of the key we seek," continued the robot, "to release our masters from cricket." Zaphod nodded again. He waggled his gun again. "The key," continued the robot simply, "was disintegrated in time and space. The Golden Bell is embedded in the device which drives your ship. It will be reconstituted in the key. Our masters shall be released. The universal readjustment will continue." Zaphod nodded again. "What are you talking about?" he said. A slightly pained expression seemed to cross the robot's totally expressionless face. He seemed to be finding the conversation depressing. "Obliteration," it said. "We seek the key." I repeated, "We already have the wooden pillar, the steel pillar, and the plastic pillar. In a moment, we will have a golden bell." "No, you won't." "We will," stated the robot simply. "No, you won't. It makes my ship work." "In a moment," repeated the robot patiently, "we will have the golden bell." "You will not," said Zaphod. "And then we must go," said the robot, in all seriousness, "to a party." "Oh," said Zaphod, startled. "Can I come?" "No," said the robot. "We are going to shoot you." "Oh yeah?" said Zaphod, waggling his gun. "Yes," said the robot, and they shot him. Zaphod was so surprised that they had shot him again before he fell down. Chapter 10. "Shh," said Slarty Bartfast. "Listen and watch." Night had now fallen on ancient cricket. The sky was dark and empty. The only light was coming from the nearby town, from which the pleasant convivial sounds were drifting quietly on the breeze. They stood beneath a tree from which heady fragrances wafted around them. Arthur squatted and felt the informational illusion of the soil and the grass. He ran it through his fingers. The soil seemed heavy and rich, the grass strong. It was hard to avoid the impression that this was a thoroughly delightful place in all respects. The sky was, however, extremely blank and seemed to Arthur to cast a certain chill over the otherwise idyllic, if currently invisible, landscape. Still, he supposed, it's a question of what you're used to. He felt a tap on his shoulder and looked up. Slarty Bartfast was quietly directing his attention to something down the other side of the hill. He looked and could just see some faint lights dancing and waving, and moving slowly in their direction. As they came nearer, sounds became audible too. and soon the dim lights and noises resolved themselves into a small group of people who were walking home across the hill toward the town. They walked quite near the watchers beneath the tree, swinging lanterns that made soft and crazy lights dance among the trees and grass, chattering contentedly and actually singing a song about how terribly nice everything was, how happy they were, how much they enjoyed working on the farm, and how pleasant it was to be going home to see their wives and children, with a lilting chorus to the effect that the flowers were smelling particularly nice at this time of year, and that it was a pity the dog had died, seeing as it liked them so much. Arthur could almost imagine Paul McCartney sitting with his feet up by the fire one evening, humming it to Linda and wondering what to buy with proceeds, and thinking probably Essex. The masters of cricket, breathed Slarty Bartfast in sepulchral tones, coming as it did so hard upon the heels of his own thoughts about Essex. This remark caused Arthur a moment's confusion. Then the logic of the situation imposed itself on his scattered mind, and he discovered that he still didn't understand what the old man meant. "What?" he said. "The masters of cricket," said Slarty Bartfast again, and if his breathing had been sepulchral before, this time he sounded like someone in haze with bronchitis. Arthur peered at the group and tried to make sense of what little information he had at his disposal at this point. The people in the group were clearly alien, if only because they seemed little, tall, thin, angular, and almost as pale as to be white, but otherwise seemed remarkably pleasant. A little whimsical, perhaps. One wouldn't necessarily want to spend a long bus journey with them, but the point was that if they deviated in any way from being good, straightforward people, it was in being perhaps too nice rather than not nice enough. So why all this rasping lung work from the Slarty Bartfast, which would seem more appropriate to a radio commercial for one of those nasty films about chainsaw operators taking their work home with them? Then, this cricket angle was a tough one, too. He hadn't quite fathomed the connection between what he knew as cricket and what. Slarty Bartfast interrupted his train of thought at this point, as if sensing what was going through his mind. "The game you know is cricket," he said, and his voice still seemed to be wandering, lost in subterranean passages, "is just one of those curious freaks of racial memory that can keep images alive in the mind eons after their true significance has been lost in the mist of time. All of the races in the galaxy, only the English could possibly revive the memory of the most horrific wars ever to sunder the universe and transform it into what I'm afraid is generally regarded as an incomprehensibly dull and pointless game. Rather fond of it myself," he added, "but in most people's eyes you have been inadvertently guilty of the most grotesquely bad taste, particularly the bit about the little red ball hitting the wicket. That's very nasty." Said Arthur with a reflective frown to indicate that this cognitive synapses were coping with this as best as they could. "And these," said Slarty Bartfast, slipping back into crypt guttural N, indicating the group of cricket men who had now walked past them, "are the ones who started it all, and it will start tonight. Come, we will follow, and you see." They slipped out from underneath the tree and followed the cheery party along the dark hill path. Their natural instinct was to tread quietly and stealthily in pursuit of their quarry, though, as they were simply walking through a recorded informational illusion, they could as easily have been carrying euphoniums and wearing a war paint for all the notice their quarry would have taken of them. Arthur saw that a couple of the members of the party were now singing a different song. It came lilting back to them through the soft night air, and was a sweet, romantic ballad that would have netted McCartney, Kent, and Sussex, and enabled him to put in a fair offer for Hampshire. "You must surely know," said Slarty Bartfast to Ford, "what it is that is about to happen." "Me?" said Ford. "No. Did you not learn ancient galactic history when you were a child?" "I was in a cubicle behind Zaphod," said Ford. "It was very distracting. Which isn't to say that I didn't learn some pretty stunning things." At this point, Arthur noticed a curious feature to the song that the party was singing. The Middle Eight Bridge, which would have had McCartney firmly consolidated in Winchester and gazing intently over the Test Valley to the rich pickings of the new forest beyond, had some curious lyrics. The songwriter was referring to meeting with a girl not under the moon, beneath the stars, but above the grass, which struck Arthur as being a little prosaic. Then he looked up again at the bewildered blank sky, and had the distinct feeling that there was an important point here, if only he could grasp what it was. It gave him a feeling of being alone in the universe, and he said so. "No," said Squire Barkfast, with a slight quickening of his steps, "the people of Cricket have never thought to themselves, 'We are alone in the universe.' They are surrounded by a huge dust cloud, you see, their single sun with its single world, and they are right out in the utmost eastern edge of the galaxy because of the dust cloud. There's never been anything to see in the sky. At night, it is totally blank. During the day, there is the sun, but you can't look directly at it, so they don't. They're hardly aware of the sky. It's as if they had a blind spot that extended 180 degrees from horizon to horizon. You see, the reason why they have never thought we are alone in the universe." No, it's not. It's Sunday night. Goodbye, David the Who. Go on now. Get. Serious, dude. You made me lose my spot. Page 3. No, page 91. Go on now. I think you were... Yep, you're right. He moved on, leaving the words ringing in the air behind him. "Imagine," he said, "never even thinking we are alone, simply because it has never occurred to you to think that there's any other way to be." He moved on again. "I'm afraid this is going to be a little unnerving," he added. As he spoke, they became aware of a very thin roaring scream high up in the sightless sky above them. They glanced upward in alarm, but for a moment or two could see nothing. Then Arthur noticed that the people in the party in front of them had heard the noise, but that none of them seemed to know what to do with it. Dude, there's a back scratcher on the thing by the bed. Kids. They were glancing around themselves in consternation, left, right, forward, backward, even at the ground. It never occurred to them to look upward. From profoundness of the shock and horror they emanated a few moments later, when the burning wreckage of a spaceship came hurtling and screaming out of the sky and crashed about half a mile from where they were standing, was something that you had to be there to experience. Some speak of the Heart of Gold in hushed tones, some of the starship Bistromath. Many speak of the legendary and gigantic starship Titanic, a majestic and luxurious cruise liner launched from the great shipbuilding asteroid complexes of the Archifactual some hundreds of years ago now, and with good reason. It was sensationally beautiful, staggeringly huge, and more pleasantly equipped than any ship in what now remains of history. See page 113 on the campaign for real time. But it had the misfortune to be built in the very earliest days of improbability physics, long before this difficult and cussed branch of knowledge was fully or at all understood. The designers and engineers decided in their innocence to build a prototype improbability field into it, which was meant supposedly to ensure that it was infinitely improbable that anything would ever go wrong with any part of the ship. They did not realize that because of the quasi-reciprocal and circular nature of all improbability calculations, anything that was infinitely probable was actually very likely to happen almost immediately. The starship Titanic was a monstrously pretty sight as it lay beached like a silver Arcturian mega-void well among the laser-lit tracery of its construction gantries, a brilliant cloud of pins and needles of light against the deep interstellar blackness. But when launched, it did not even manage to complete its very first radio message, an SOS, before undergoing a sudden and gratuitous total existence fill. However, the same event that saw the disastrous failure of one science in its infancy also witnessed the apotheosis of another. It was conclusively proved that more people watched the Tri-D television coverage of the launch than actually existed at the time, and this has now been recognized as the greatest achievement ever in the science of audience research. Another spectacular media event of that time was the supernova that the star Islodens underwent a few hours later. Islodens is the star around which most of the galaxy's major insurance underwriters live, or rather lived. But while these spaceships and other great ones that come to mind, such as the Galactic Fleet battleships, the GSS Daring, the GSS Audacity, and the GSS Suicidal Insanity, are all spoken of with awe, pride, enthusiasm, affection, admiration, regret, jealousy, resentment, in fact, most of the better-known emotions. The one that regularly commands the most actual astonishment is Cricket 1, the first spaceship ever built by the people of Cricket. This is not because it was a wonderful ship, it wasn't. It was a crazy piece of near junk. It looked as if it had been knocked up in somebody's backyard, and this was in fact precisely where it had been knocked up. The astonishing thing about the ship was not that it was done well, it wasn't, but that it was done at all. The period of time that had elapsed between the moment that the people of Cricket had discovered that there was such a thing as space and the launching of this, their first spaceship, was almost exactly a year. Ford Prefect was extremely grateful as he strapped himself in, that this was just another informational illusion, and that he was therefore completely safe. In real life, it wasn't a ship he would have set foot in for all the rice, wine, and china. Extremely rickety was one phrase that sprang to mind, and please may I get out was another. Is this going to fly? Said Arthur, giving gaunt looks at the lashed-together pipework and wiring that festooned the cramped interior of the ship. Snotty Bartfast assured him that it would, that they were perfectly safe, and that it was all going to be extremely instructive, and not a little harrowing. Ford and Arthur decided just to relax and be harrowed. Why not? Said Ford. Go mad? In front of them, and of course, totally unaware of their presence, for the very good reason that they weren't actually there for the three pilots. They also had constructed the ship. They had been on the hill path that night singing wholesome, heartwarming songs. Their brains had been very slightly turned by the nearby crash of the alien spaceship. They had spent weeks stripping every tiniest last secret out of the wreckage of that burn-up spaceship, all the while singing lilting spaceship stripping ditties. They had then built their own ship, and this was it. This was their ship, and they were currently singing a little song about that too, expressing the twin joys of achievement and ownership. The chorus was a little poignant, and told of their sorrow because their work had kept them such long hours in the garage away from the company of their wives and children, who had missed them terribly, but had kept them cheerful by bringing them continual stories of how nicely the puppy was growing up. How they took off. They roared into the sky like a ship that knew precisely what it was doing. No way, said Ford, a while later, after they had recovered from the shock of acceleration. Good Lord. And we're climbing up on the planet's atmosphere. No way, he repeated. Does anyone design and build a ship like this in a year, no matter how motivated? I don't believe it. Prove it to me, and I still won't believe it. He shook his head thoughtfully and gazed out of a tiny port at the nothingness outside it. The trip passed uneventfully for a while, and Slarty Bart fast wound them through it. Very quickly, therefore, they arrived at the inner perimeter of the hollow, spherical dust cloud that surrounded their sun and home planet, occupying, as it were, the next orbit out. It was as if there were a gradual change in the texture and consistency of space. The darkness seemed now to thrum and ripple past them. It was a very cold darkness, a very blank and heavy darkness. It was the darkness of the night sky of Cricket. The coldness coldness and heaviness and blackness of it took a slow grip on Arthur's heart, and he felt acutely aware of the feelings of the cricket pilots that hung in the air like a thick static charge. They were on the very boundary of the historical consciousness of their race. This was the very limit beyond which none of them had ever speculated or even known that there was any speculation to be done. The darkness of the cloud buffeted at the ship. Inside was a silence of history. Their historic mission was to find out if there was anything or anywhere on the other side of the sky from which the wrecked spaceship could have come. Another world maybe, strange and incomprehensible, though this thought was to be enclosed minds of those who had lived beneath the sky of cricket. History was gathering itself to deliver another blow. Still the darkness thrummed at them. The blank, enclosing darkness. It seemed closer and closer, thicker and thicker, heavier and heavier. And suddenly it was gone. They flew out of the cloud. They saw the staggering jewels of the night in their infinite dust, and their minds sang with fear. For a while they flew on, motionless against the starry sweep of the galaxy itself, motionless against the infinite sweep of the universe. And then they turned round. "It'll have to go," the men of cricket said, as they headed back for home. On the way back, they sang a number of tuneful and reflective songs on the subjects of peace, justice, morality, culture, sport, family life, and the obliteration of all other life forms. So on that note, we're going to go, to our first break, where we have Miss Mia Savage with her group Antidote for Savages. And she's going to be singing The Mirror in Crypto, Your Skeleton, Let Me Be Your Home, and Our New Reality. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break. Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. We're going to get back into our book. Life, the Universe, and Everything by Douglas Adams. Chapter 11. So you see, said Slarty Bartfast, slowly stirring his artificially constructed coffee and thereby also stirring the whirlpool interfaces between real and unreal numbers. Between the interactive perceptions of the mind and universe and plus generating reconstructed matrices of implicitly enfolded subjectivity that allowed his ship to reshape the very concept of time and space, how it is. Yes, said Arthur. Yes, said Ford. What do I do, said Arthur, with this piece of chicken? Slarty Bartfast glanced at him gravely. Toy with it, he said. Toy with it. He demonstrated with his own piece. Arthur did so and felt the slight tingle of a mathematical function thrilling through his chicken leg as it moved four-dimensionally through what Slarty Bartfast had assured him was a five-dimensional space. Overnight, said Slarty Bartfast, the whole population of Cricket was transformed from being charming, delightful, intelligent. If whimsical, interpolated Arthur. Ordinary people, said Slarty Bartfast, into charming, delightful, intelligent, whimsical. Manic xenophobes, the idea of a universe didn't fit into their world picture, so to speak. They simply couldn't cope with it, and so charmingly, delightfully, intelligently, whimsically, if you like, they decided to destroy it. What's the matter now? I don't like this wine very much, said Arthur, sniffling it. Well, send it back. It's all part of the mathematics of it. Arthur did so. He didn't like the topography of the waiter's smile, but he'd never liked graphs anyway. Where are we going? Said Ford. Back to the room of informational illusions, said Slarty Bartfast, rising and patting his mouth with a mathematical representation of a paper napkin. For the second half. Chapter 12. The people of Cricket, said His High Judgmental Supremacy, Judiciary, Page LIVR, the man of the Board of Judges at Cricket War Crimes Trial, are, well, you know, they're just a bunch of real sweet guys, you know, who just happened to want to kill everybody. Hell, I feel the same way some mornings. Okay, he continued, swinging his feet up onto the bench in front of him and pausing a moment to pick a thread off his ceremonial beach loafers. So you wouldn't necessarily want to share a galaxy with these guys. This was true. The Cricket attack on the galaxy had been stunning. Thousands and thousands of huge Cricket warships had leaped suddenly out of hyperspace and simultaneously attacked thousands and thousands of major worlds, first seizing vital material supplies for building the next wave, and then calmly zapping those worlds out of existence. The galaxy, which had been enjoying a period of unusual peace and prosperity at the time, reeled like a man getting mugged in a meadow. I mean, continued Judiciary Hag, gazing round, the ultra-modern, this was 10 billion years ago when ultra-modern meant lots of stainless steel and brushed concrete, and huge courtroom, these guys are just obsessed. This too is true, and is the only explanation anyone has yet managed to come up with for the unimaginable speed which the people of Cricket had pursued their new absolute purpose. The destruction of everything that wasn't Cricket. It is also the only explanation for their bewildering sudden grasp of all the hyper-technology involved in building their thousands of spaceships and their millions of lethal white robots. These had really struck terror into the hearts of everyone who had encountered them. In most cases, however, the terror was extremely short-lived, as was the person experiencing the terror. They were savage, single-minded flying battle machines. They wielded formidable, malfunctional battle clubs that brandished one way, knocked down buildings, brandished another way, fired blistering omni-destructo zap rays, and brandished a third way, launching a hideous arsenal of grenades, ranging from minor incendiary devices to maxillary hypernuclear devices that could take out a major sun. Simply striking the grenades with a battle club simultaneously primed them and launched them with phenomenal accuracy over distances ranging from mere yards to hundreds of thousands of miles. "Okay," said the judiciary hag again. "So we won." He paused and chewed a little gum. "We won," he repeated. "But that's no big deal. I mean, a medium-sized galaxy against one little world. And how long did it take us?" Clerk of the court said the severe little man in black, rising. "How long, kiddo?" "It's a trifle difficult, my lord, to be precise in this matter of time and distance." "Relax, guy, be vague." "I'd hardly like to be vague, my lord, over such a... bite the bullet and be it." The clerk of the court blinked at him. It was clear that, like most of the galactical legal profession, he found Judiciary Pag, or Zippo Bibrock, 5x10, as his private name was known, inexplicably to be a rather distressing figure. He was clearly a bounder and a cad. He seemed to think because he was the processor and possessor of the finest legal mind ever discovered, that gave him the right to behave exactly as he liked, and unfortunately, he appeared to be right. Well, my lord, very approximately 2,000 years. The clerk murmured unhappily. "And how many guys zilched out?" 2 grillion, my lord." The clerk sat down. A hydrospectic photo of him at this point had revealed that he was steaming slightly. Judiciary Pag gazed once more around the courtroom, wherein were assembled hundreds of the very highest officials of the entire galactic administration, all in their ceremonial uniforms or bodies, depending on metabolism and custom. Behind a wall of zap-proof crystal stood a representative group of the people of Cricket, looking with calm, polite loathing at all the aliens gathered to pass judgment on them. This was the most momentous occasion in legal history, and Judiciary Pag knew it. He took out his chewing gum and stuck it under his chair. "That's a whole lot of stiffs," he said quietly. The grim silence in the courtroom seemed in accord with this view. "So like I said, these are a bunch of really sweet guys, but you wouldn't want to share a galaxy with them. Not if they're just going to keep at it. Not if they're not going to learn to relax a little. I mean, it's just going to be continual nervous time, isn't it, right? Pow, pow, pow. When are they next coming at us? Peaceful coexistence is just right out, right? Get me some water, somebody, thank you." He sat back and sipped reflectively. "Okay," he said. Hear me. It's like these guys, are entitled to their own view of the universe, and according to their view, which the universe forced onto them, right? They did, right? Sounds crazy, but I think you'll agree. They believe in..." He consulted a piece of paper that he found in the back pocket of his judicial jeans. "They believe in peace, justice, morality, culture, sport, family life, and the obliteration of all other life forms." He shrugged. "I've heard a lot worse," he said. He scratched his crotch reflectively. "Priow," he said. He took another sip of water, then held it up to the light and frowned at it. He twisted it around. "Hey, is there something in this water?" he said. No, me lord," said the court usher, who had brought it to him rather nervously. "Then take it away," snapped Judiciary Pag, "and put something in it. I got an idea." He pushed away the glass and leaned forward. Hear me, he said. The solution was brilliant and went like this. The planet of Cricket was to be encased for perpetuity in an envelope of slow time, inside which life would continue almost infinitely slowly. All light would be deflected around the envelope so that it would remain invisible and impenetrable. Escape from the envelope would be utterly impossible, unless it was unlocked from outside. When the rest of the universe came to its final end, when the whole of creation reached its dying fall, this was all, of course, in the days before it was known that the end of the universe would be a spectacular catering venture, and life and matter ceased to exist. Then the planet of Cricket and its sun would emerge from its slow time envelope and continue a solitary existence, such as it craved. in the twilight of the universal void. The lock would be an asteroid that would slowly orbit the envelope. The key would be the symbol of the galaxy, the Wicket Gate. By the time the applause in the court had died down, Judiciary Hag was already in the Cinso shower with a rather nice member of the jury that he'd slipped a note to half an hour earlier. Wham! Chapter 13. 2 months later, Zippo Bibrock 5x10 had cut the bottoms off his galactic state jeans and was spending part of the enormous fee his judgments commanded lying on a jeweled beach having essence of collectin rubbed into his back by the same rather nice member of the jury. She was a Sulfinian girl from beyond the cloud worlds of Yaga. She had skin like lemon silk and was very interested in legal bodies. "Did you hear the news?" she said. "Well," said Zippo Bibrock 5x10, and you would have had to have been there to know exactly why he said this. None of this was on the tape of informational illusions, and is all based on hearsay. "No," he added, when the thing that had made him say, "Wheeler," had stopped happening. He moved his body around slightly to catch the first rays of the third and greatest Primeval of Rod's three suns that was creeping over the ludicrously beautiful horizon, and the sky now glittered with some of the greatest tanning power ever known. Fragrant breeze wandered up from the quiet sea, trailing along the beach and drifted back to sea again. Wondering where to go next, on a mad impulse, it went up to the beach again. It drifted back to sea. "I hope it isn't good news," muttered Zippo Bibrock 5x10, "'cause I don't think I could hear it, or bear it." "Your cricket judgment was carried out today," said the girl sumptuously. There was no need to say such a straightforward thing sumptuously, but she went ahead and did it anyway because it was the sort of day. "I heard it on the radio," she said, "when I went back to the ship for the oil." "Uh-huh," murmured Zippo, and rested his head back on the jeweled sand. "Something happened," she said. "Hmm?" "Just after the slow time envelope was locked," she said, and paused a moment from rubbing in the essence of quilactin. "A cricket warship that had been missing, presumed destroyed, turned out to be just missing after all. It appeared and tried to seize the key." Zippo sat up sharply. "Hey, what?" he said. "That's all right," she said in a voice that would have calmed the Big Bang down. "Apparently, there was a short battle. The key and the warship were disintegrated and blasted into the space-time continuum. Apparently, they are lost forever." She smiled and squeezed a little more essence of quilactin onto her fingertips. He relaxed and lay back down. "Do what you did a moment or two ago," he murmured. "That?" she said. No, he said. "That." She tried again. "That?" she asked. "Willa!" Again, you had to be there. The fragrant breeze drifted up from the sea again. A magician wandered along the beach, but no one needed him. Chapter 14. "Nothing is lost forever," said Slarty Bartfast, his face flickering readily in the light of the candle the robot waiter was trying to take away, except for the Cathedral of Chalon. "The what?" said Arthur with a start. "The Cathedral of Chalon," repeated Slarty Bartfast. "It was during the course of my researches at the campaign for real time that I—" "That what?" said Arthur again. The old man paused and gathered his thoughts for what he hoped would be one last onslaught on this story. The robot waiter moved through the space-time matrices in a way that spectacularly combined the surly with the obsequious. Made a snatch for the candle and got it. They had the check, had argued convincingly about who had the cannellini and how many bottles of wine they had had, and, as Arthur had been dimly aware, had thereby successfully maneuvered the ship out of the objective space into parking orbit around a planet. The waiter was now anxious to complete his part of the charade and clear the bistro. "All will become clear," said Slarty Bartfast. "When?" "In a minute. Listen. The time streams are now very polluted. There's a lot of muck floating about in them. Flotsam and jetsam, and more of it is now being regurgitated into the physical world. Eddies in space-time continuum, you see. "So I hear," said Arthur. "Look, where are we going?" said Ford, pausing, pushing his chair back from the table with impatience, "because I'm eager to get there." "We're going," said Slider Bartfast in a slow, measured voice, "to try to prevent the war robots of Cricket from regaining the whole of the key they need to unlock the planet of Cricket from the Snow Time embargo and release the rest of their army and their mad masters." "It's just," said Ford, "that you mentioned a party." "I did," said Slider Bartfast, and hung his head. He realized that it had been a mistake because the idea seemed to exercise a strange and unhelpful fascination on the mind of Ford. The more Slider Bartfast unraveled the dark, tragic story of Cricket and its people, the more Ford Prefect wanted to drink a lot and dance with girls. The old man felt that he should not have mentioned the party until he absolutely had to. But there it was, the fact was out, and Ford Prefect had attached himself to it the way an Arcturian megaleech attaches itself to its victim before biting his head off and making off with his spaceship. "When," said Ford eagerly, "do we get there?" "When I finish telling you why we have to go there." "I know why I'm going," said Ford, and leaned back, sticking his hands behind his head. He did one of his smiles and made people twitch. Slider Bartfast had hoped for an easy retirement. He had been planning to learn to play the octaviral hebephone, a pleasantly futile task. He knew because he had the wrong number of mouths. He had also been planning to write an eccentric and relentlessly inaccurate monograph on the subject of equatorial fjords, in order to set the record wrong about one or two matters he saw as important. Instead, he had somehow got talked into doing some part of work for the campaign for real time and had started to take it all seriously for the first time in his life. As a result, he now found himself spending his fast declining years combating evil and trying to save the galaxy. Just making sure our sound's on over here. Looking good, looking good. Let me check this too really quick. All right. He had also been planning to write an eccentric and relentlessly inaccurate monograph on the subject of equatorial fjords in order to set the record wrong about one or two matters he saw as important. Instead, he somehow got talked into doing some part work, and we already read that. He found it exhausting work and sighed heavily. "Listen," he said, "at Kempton—" "What?" said Arthur. "The campaign for real time, which I will tell you about later, I noticed that 5 pieces of jetsam that had been relatively recent times popped back into existence seemed to correspond to the 5 pieces of the missing key. Only 2 I could trace exactly. The wooden pillar, which appeared on your planet, and the silver bell. It seems to be at some sort of party. We must go there to retrieve it before the Cricket robots find it. Or who knows what may happen." "No," said Ford firmly. "We must go to the party in order to drink a lot and dance with girls." "But haven't you understood anything "Yes," said Ford, with sudden and unexpected fierceness. "I've understood it all perfectly well. That's why I want to have some drinks and dance with as many girls as possible, while there are still any left, if everything you've shown us is true." "True, of course it's true." "Then we don't stand a buck's chance in supernova." "And what?" said Arthur, sharply again. He had been following the conversation doggedly up to this point, and was keen not to lose the thread now. "A Welk's chance in a supernova," repeated Ford, without losing momentum. "What's the Welk got to do with the supernova?" said Arthur. "It doesn't," said Ford, levelly. "Stand a chance in one." He paused to see if the matter was now cleared up. The freshly puzzled looks clambering across Arthur's face told him that it wasn't. "A supernova," said Ford, as quickly and as clearly as he could, "is a star that explodes at almost half the speed of light and burns with the brightness of 1 billion suns and then collapses as a super heavy neutron star. It's a star that burns up other stars, got it? Nothing stands a chance in a supernova." "I see," said Arthur. So why the Welk particularly? Why not a Welk? Doesn't matter." Arthur accepted this, and Ford continued picking up his early fierce momentum as best he could. The point is, he said, that people like you and me, Slarty Bartfast and Arthur particularly, and especially Arthur, are just dilettantes, eccentrics, jayabouts, if you like. Slarty Bartfast frowned, partly in puzzlement and partly in umbrage. He started to speak. As far as he got. We're not obsessed by anything, you see, insisted Ford. And that's the deciding factor. We can't win against obsession. They care, we don't, they win. I care about lots of things, said Slarty Bartfast, his voice trembling partly with annoyance, but partly also with uncertainty. Such as? Well, said the old man, life, the universe, everything, really, fjords. Would you die for them? Fjords, blinking Slarty Bartfast in surprise. No. Well then, wouldn't see the point, to be honest. And I still can't see the connection, said Arthur, with Wilkes. Ford could feel the conversation slipping out of his control and refused to be sidetracked by anything at this point. The point is, he hissed, that we are not obsessive people, and we don't stand a chance against. Except for your sudden obsession with Wilkes, pursued Arthur, which I still haven't understood. Will you please leave Wilkes out of it? I will if you will, said Arthur. You brought the subject up. It was an error, said Ford. Forget them. The point is this. He leaned forward and rested his forehead on the tips of his fingers. What was I talking about? He said wearily. Let's just go down to the party, said Slarty Bartfast. For whatever reason, he stood up, shaking his head. I think that's what I was trying to say, said Ford. For some unexplained reason, the teleport cubicles were in the bathroom. Interesting. Chapter 15. Time travel is increasingly regarded as a menace. History is being polluted. The Encyclopedia Galactica has much to say on the theory and practice of time travel, most of which is incomprehensible to anyone who hasn't spent at least 4 times studying advanced hypermathematics. And since it was impossible to do this before time travel was invented, there was a certain amount of confusion as to how the idea was arrived at in the first place. One rationalization of this problem states that time travel was, by its very nature, discovered simultaneously at all periods of history, but this is clearly bunk. The trouble that is that a lot of history is now quite clearly bunk as well. Here's an example. It may not seem to be an important one to some people, but to others it is crucial. It is certainly significant that it was this single event that caused the campaign for real time to be set up in the first place, or is it last? It depends which way round you see history as happening, and this too is now an increasingly vexed question. There is or was a poet. His name was Lalafa, and he wrote what are widely regarded throughout the galaxy as the finest poems in existence, the Songs of the Long Land. They are/were unspeakably wonderful. That is to say, you couldn't speak very much of them at once without being so overcome with emotion, truth, and a sense of wholeness and oneness, of things that you wouldn't pretty soon need a brisk walk round the block, possibly pausing at a bar on the way back for a quick glass of perspective soda. They were that good. The Lafa had lived in the forest of long lands of Ephod. He lived there and he wrote his poems there. He wrote them on pages made of dried habra leaves, without the benefit of education on correcting fluid. He wrote about the light in the forest. Good gosh, something's getting my nose. And what he thought about that. He read about the darkness in the forest and what he thought about that. He wrote about the girl who had left him and precisely what he thought about that. Long after his death, his poems were found and wandered over. News of them spread like morning sunlight. For centuries, they illuminated and watered the lives of many people whose lives might otherwise have been darker and drier. Then, shortly after the invention of time travel, some major correcting fluid manufacturers wondered whether this poem might have been better still if he had had access to some high-quality correcting fluid, and whether he might be persuaded to say a few words to that effect. They traveled the time waves, they found him, they explained the situation, with some difficulty, to him, and did indeed persuade him. In fact, they persuaded him to such the effect that he became extremely rich at their hands. and the girl about whom he was otherwise destined to write with such precision never got around to leaving him, and in fact they moved out of the forest to a rather nice pad in town, and he frequently commuted to the future to do talk shows on which he sparkled wittily. He never got around to writing the poems, of course, which was a problem, but an easily solved one. The manufacturers of the correcting fluid simply packed him off for a week somewhere with a copy of a later edition of his book and stacks of dried habra leaves to copy them out onto, making the odd deliberate mistake and correction on the way. Many people now say that the poems are suddenly worthless. Others argue that they are exactly the same as they always were, so what's changed? The first people say that that isn't the point. They aren't quite certain what the point is, but they are quite sure that that isn't it. They set up the campaign for real time to try to stop this sort of thing going on. Their case was considerably strengthened by the fact that a week after they had set themselves up, news broke that not only had the great cathedral of Chalcedon been pulled down in order to build a new ion refinery, but that the construction of the refinery had taken so long and had to extend so far back into the past in order to allow ion production to start on time, that the cathedral of Chalcedon had now never been built in the first place. Picture postcards of the cathedral suddenly became immensely valuable. So a lot of history is now gone forever. The campaigners for real time claim that just as easy travel eroded the differences between one country and another, and between one world and another, so time travel is now eroded the differences between one age and another. The past, they say, is now truly like a foreign country. They did things exactly the same there. Chapter 16. Arthur materialized and did so with all the customary staggering about and clasping at his throat, heart, and various limbs that he still indulged himself in whenever he made any of these hateful and painful materializations, that he was determined not to let himself get used to it. He looked around for the others. They weren't there. He looked around for the others again. They still weren't there. He closed his eyes and opened them. He looked around for the others. They obstinately persisted in their absence. He closed his eyes again, preparatory to making this completely futile exercise once more, and because it was only then, while his eyes were closed, that his brain began to register what his eyes had been looking at while they were open. A puzzled frown crept across his face, so he opened his eyes again to check his facts, and frown stayed put. If anything, it intensified and got a good firm grip. If this was a party, it was a very bad one. So bad, in fact, that everyone else had left. He abandoned this line of thought as futile. Obviously, this wasn't a party. It was a cave, or a labyrinth, or a tunnel, or something. There was insufficient light to tell, certainly insufficient light to hold a party in. All was darkness, a damp, shiny darkness. And there was no sound, no noise at all, except for the echoes of his own breathing, which sounded worried. And the more he listened to them, the more worried they began to sound. He coughed very slightly in an introductory sort of way. He then had to listen to the thin ghostly echo of his cough trailing off among winding corridors and slightless chambers, as of some great labyrinth, and eventually returning to him via further unseen corridors, as if to say, "Yes?" This happened to every noise he made, and it unnerved him. He tried to hum a cheery tune, but by the time it returned to him, it was a hollow dirge, and he stopped. His mind was suddenly full of images from the story that Slarty Bartfast had been telling him. He half expected suddenly to see lethal white robots step silently from the shadows and kill him. He caught his breath. They didn't. He let it go again. He didn't know what he did expect. Someone or something, however, seemed to be expecting him, for at that moment there lit up suddenly in the dark distance an eerie green neon sign. It said silently, "You have been diverted." A sign flicked off again, in a way that Arthur was not at all certain he liked. It flicked off with a sort of contemptuous flourish. Arthur then tried to assure himself that this was just a ridiculous trick of his imagination. A neon sign is either on or off, depending on whether it was electricity running through it or not. There was no way, he told himself, that it could possibly affect the transition from one state to the other with a contemptuous flourish. He hugged himself tightly in his dressing gown and shivered nevertheless. The neon sign in the depths of now suddenly lit up, baffling, with just 3 dots and a comma like this, ... comma, only in green neon. It was trying, Arthur realized after staring at his perplexity, for a second or two, to indicate that there was more to come, that the sentence was not complete, trying with almost superhuman pedantry. He further reflected, or at least non-human pedantry. The sentence then completed itself with these 2 words, Arthur Dent. He reeled and steadied himself to have another clear look at it. It still said Arthur Dent, so he reeled again. Once again the sign flicked off and left him blinking in the darkness with just the dim red image of his name jumping on his retina. Welcome, the sign now suddenly said. After a moment it added, I don't think. The stone-cold fear, which had been hovering around Arthur all this time, waiting for its moment, recognized that this moment had now come and pounced on him. He tried to fight it off. He dropped into a kind of alert crouch that he had once seen somebody do on television, but it must have been someone with stronger knees. He peered hunnily into the darkness. Hello? He said. He cleared his throat and said it again, more loudly, and without the At some distance down the corridor, it seemed suddenly as if somebody started to beat on a bass drum. He listened to it for a few seconds and realized that it was just his heart beating. He listened for a few seconds more and realized that it wasn't his heart, it was somebody down the corridor beating on a bass drum. Beads of sweat formed on his brow, tensed themselves and leaped off. He put out a hand onto the floor to steady his alert crouch, which wasn't holding up very well. The sign changed itself again. It said, Do not be alarmed. After a pause, it added, Be very, very frightened, Arthur Dent. Once again it flicked off. Once again, it left him in darkness. His eyes seemed to be popping out of his head. He wasn't certain if this was because they were trying to see more clearly or if they simply wanted to leave at this point. Hello? He said again, this time trying to put a note of rugged and aggressive self-assertion into it. Is anyone there? There was no reply, nothing. This unnerved Arthur even more than a reply would have done, and he began to back away from the scary nothingness. And the more he backed away, the more scared he became. After a while, he realized that the reason for this was that in all the films he had seen in which the hero backs farther and farther away from some imagined terror in front of him, he then manages to bump into it coming up from behind. At this point, it suddenly occurred to him to turn around rather quickly. There was nothing there, just blackness. This really unnerved him, and he started to back away from that, back the way he had come. After doing this for a short while, it suddenly occurred to him that he was now backing toward whatever it was he had been backing away from in the first place. This, he couldn't help thinking, must be a foolish thing to do. He decided he would be better off backing the way he had first been backing and turned around again. It turned out at this point that his second impulse had been the correct one, because there was an indescribable hideous monster standing quietly behind him. Arthur yawed wildly as his skin tried to jump one way and his skeleton the other, while his brain tried to work out which of his ears it most wanted to crawl out of. "Bet you weren't expecting to see me again," said the monster, which Arthur couldn't help thinking was a strange remark for it to make, seeing that he had never met the creature before. He could tell that he hadn't met the creature before from the simple fact that he was able to sleep at nights. It was. Arthur blinked at it. It stood very still. It did look a little familiar. A terrible cold calm came over him as he realized that what he was looking at was a 6-foot-high hologram of a housefly. He wondered why anybody would be showing him a 6-foot-high hologram of a housefly at this time. He wondered whose voice he had heard. It was a terribly realistic hologram. It vanished. "Or perhaps you remember me better," said the voice suddenly, and it was a deep, hollow, malevolent voice that sounded like molten tar blurping out of a drum with evil on its mind, as the rabbit. Once the king, there was a rabbit there, in the black labyrinth with him. A huge, monstrously, hideously soft and lovable rabbit, an image again, but on which every single soft and lovable hair seemed like a real and single thing growing in its soft and lovable coat. Arthur was startled to see his own reflection in its soft and lovable, unblinking, and extremely huge brown eye. More born in darkness, rumbled the voice, raised in darkness. One morning, I poked my head for the first time into the bright new world and got it split open by what felt like some primitive instrument made of flint. Made by you, Arthur Dent, and wielded by you rather hard as I recall. You turned my skin into a bag for keeping interesting stones in. I happen to know that because in my next life I came back as a fly again and you swatted me again. Only this time you swatted me with the bag you'd made of my previous skin. Arthur Dent, you are not merely a cruel and heartless man, you are also staggeringly tactless. The voice paused while Arthur gawked. I see you have lost the bag, said the voice. Probably got bored of it, did you? Arthur shook his head helplessly. He wanted to explain that he had been in fact very fond of the bag and had looked after it very well and had taken it with him wherever he went, but somehow every time he traveled anywhere he seemed inexplicably to end up with the wrong bag, and that, curiously enough, even as they stood there, he was just noticing for the first time that the bag he had with him at the moment appeared to be made out of a rather nasty fake leopard skin, and wasn't the one he'd had a few moments ago, before he arrived in this whatever place it was, and wasn't one he would have chosen himself in heaven, knew what would be in it as it wasn't his. He would much rather have his original bag back, except that he was of course terribly sorry for having so peremptorily removed it, or rather its component parts, i.e. the rabbit skin from its previous owner, viz. the rabbit, whom he currently had the honor of attempting vainly to address. All he actually managed to say was, Meet the newt you trot on, said the voice, and there was standing in the corridor with Arthur, a giant green scaly newt. Arthur turned, yelped, leaped backward, and found himself standing in the middle of the rabbit. He yelped again, but could not find nowhere to leap to. That was me too, continued the voice in a low, menacing rumble, as if you didn't know. No, said Arthur with a start, no. The interesting thing about reincarnation, rasped the voice, is that most people, most spirits, are not aware that it is happening to them. Wow, this is a long chapter. Holy shnikes. We're gonna have to pause for the cause, because we gotta go to our second music break. So yeah, let's stop right there, and we'll get back into it next Sunday for story time with me, TessaTNT. So on this break, we have Miss Mia Savage again with her group Antidote for Savages, which is just her. She does all the music, lyrics, everything. She's going to be singing one of my favorites. It's Bury Me in Heaven. Nana Faye's Singing to Your Grave, and the bottom line, you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
game you play? Have you had enough of all the silly things I say? Take it a little bit more, but I'll always be here for you. Find another one, they'll never feel like I do. It's all you waiting, don't let this collapse on me. I'll be talking to your grave tonight. I'll be singing to your grave tonight.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I was just looking through my videos because at the end of story time, we always watch a creepy video together. And I was just seeing this one is a bit short. So I'm going to pull up this other one, and see how that one works out for us. We'll try this other one later. Sorry about the delay. Gotta get past these dang old advertisements. Dang old. So we're gonna be watching some Nuke's top 5. Let me get rid of this one real quick. Let's end this. Sorry for the delay. We present to you. So this is not a top 5. This is a top 20 TikTok ghost videos of 2023. I believe could be 2024 because this was not too long ago. Let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Make sure I got the right sound on. We don't want to have any echo go on. All right. Let's do this.
The top 20 scariest TikTok ghost videos of the year. TikTok user DarkSecret37 is a mother from the Philippines currently living in Japan with her 2 sons. One evening in the spring when the sakura trees are in full bloom, the 2 boys make a video with one of their friends filming. What happens next is truly bizarre. Did you see it? A hand wraps around one of the boys' legs. The guy who's recording is shocked and hurries over to inspect the area around the 2 boys. But there's nothing and no one there. Some Japanese TikTok commenters believe that long ago someone was buried on the spot where the sakura tree now stands, and that the restless spirit tried to reach out to the children, literally. But what do you think this creepy hand could be? Is it real or just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
You decide.
Caught on camera. TikTok user Summer, who is a mother of 2, lives in a small house in an old town in rural Georgia. Late one night, Summer takes her phone out to record a quick video in her backyard. But she immediately notices something that is absolutely unnerving.
Y'all, I am in my yard. Watch my face. This is not an app doing this. This is my yard. The church is behind me. Watch my face.
Ew.
Church, you can see straight through me. I kid you not. Look at this. Whoa.
On camera, Summer's face seems to twist and distort into something unrecognizable as she simply moves around in her own backyard. Summer says that she is deeply worried that the strange old church across the street might be the cause of the creepy occurrence. She attempts to find information about the history of the old church, but she hits a dead end and is left with no answers. So did Summer catch a bizarre paranormal visual disturbance on camera? Or just what is going on here? Meanwhile, on TikTok.
More than 150 years old, the Anson Call House is known for its ghost stories. A family that lived here for close to 20 years says there's no question this place was haunted.
On Halloween night, paranormal investigation team Paranosis hosts a live event on their TikTok page as they investigate the allegedly haunted Anson Call House in Bountiful, Utah. The historic home was built in 1859 and was the home of Mormon pioneer Anson Call and his 5 wives. It is said that Anson was a cruel man and would lock his wives in the basement if they did not obey him. He eventually passed away inside the home. 84 years later, it is said that Ted Bundy kidnapped and held a woman in the Anson Call home before taking her life. Lead investigator Bennett Rain and her team are broadcasting live outside the house when suddenly they all see something absolutely terrifying.
What?
There's like a knock on the sounded like felt like a knock on a window or something.
I'm done. I can't.
Trying to drive.
This chicken.
Freaking, that's where it was trying to
Dude,
What?
look at it! Look at it!
Oh, it is the freaking ceiling.
Wow. Wow. What the heck?
Here's someone talking. There's some girls out in the front. Okay, that's the freaking ceiling. Freaking. I don't know. What?
There was a thing like smashing up against the glass.
Was that in the front? Was that the front of the freaking house? What was that?
It's coming from inside. It hit the.
This has been happening the whole time.
That's been happening the whole time.
We're in there.
He's been banging on the window and the door.
We got it on video too.
Looks like, is that the ghost of the girl that Ted Bundy took? Or is that the ghost of the
Okay.
wives?
I think
That guy was
I'm
cool.
done. I need to get.
You never know.
What the hell? Is that gonna break the?
I don't know. Is that coming from upstairs or downstairs?
Okay. I think. Okay, that's the freaking. I'm done. Okay.
We gotta go in.
You're gonna go in?
Yeah, let's go in.
Why would you go in when the freaking house is falling apart?
The remains of a bed frame fly up towards the ceiling. The shocked investigators quickly head inside to investigate.
I think this is where the banging was coming from. This is for sure, look.
Look at that.
That's what I saw flying around. I saw that in the window.
Yeah, it's like clear up by the ceiling.
What the
Now, this
crap?
terrifying event was all captured live, and fans of the Paranosis team shared their recordings of the investigation on TikTok. What makes the footage even more compelling is that paranormal fan Ashley came along on the investigation, and she too captured chilling footage of the Anson Call home.
Oh my gosh. No. Oh my gosh. There's the neighbor. There's the neighbor. Oh my gosh.
Do you guys see stuff a lot? Like
Not really. I just hear things in my bedroom.
That's crazy. Nah.
Because I live, like, my bedroom's like right on this side right here.
Yeah. Oh! Here's the glass. Oh. Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, the neighbor came over and was like,
I know.
are there people in there? They're like, someone's knocking on our... And I was like, no, like, I think it might be the vibration from this. The kid that came up to us, he lives next door, and he was saying that he never sees anything, but he hears stuff all the time. And his window to his bedroom was right next to the house, and he said he hears stuff all the time. That's why he came out running. But they did say the neighbors on the right-hand side, like the opposite side of him, they always see women walking around upstairs where a lot of that banging was happening. So, no thanks.
Now, with so many witnesses to these paranormal events, it makes you wonder whether the Anson Call home might be truly haunted. and someone or something from the other side was banging on the doors and windows in an attempt to get out. But as always, I leave that to you to decide. Before we move on to the next video, if you see anything that you think should be included in the top 5, contact us at nukestop5@gmail.com. Child's Play. Marika de Wit from the Netherlands posts on TikTok that she is worried about her youngest son. 2-year-old Mateo is playing in his room upstairs when Marika hears the boy yelling. She hurries upstairs to check on him, but everything seems fine. But when she looks at her security footage to see what the problem was, she is shocked.
What is happening? What? Come on, man. What? No, let's not. Man. Poor kid.
Mateo appears to be looking at and even arguing with someone or something that we can't see. Then the 2-year-old seems to be pushed backwards onto the floor. Now Marika says that Mateo is fine and was completely unharmed. But this is where the story takes a very strange turn. You see, Marika says that she was originally pregnant with triplets, but sadly the other 2 fetuses failed to develop, leaving only little Mateo. Marika believes that Mateo might be visited by the spirits of his unborn siblings. But what do you think happened to little Mateo? Let me know.
I don't know, man.
The demon down the hall. Supernatural investigator Cody Aaron says in his YouTube and TikTok videos that he doesn't believe that ghosts are real, or at least that they aren't the lingering spirits of humans. Instead, he believes that all paranormal experiences are actually demonic in nature. Cody says that he has successfully helped troubled families struggling with demonic presences for years. So when a family member reaches out to Cody about the terrifying activity occurring in their office building, the concerned investigator doesn't hesitate to offer a helping hand. But what he encounters in this office building even takes him by surprise. Cody records as he explores the creepy empty office space at night. What happens next is downright chilling.
Okay, you guys, so this is the door that moves on its own, and that's the chair that moves on its own. And I'm just tired, you know, there's absolutely nothing here this time. I've not seen anything. It's 9:46, and usually everything happens by this time, but nothing's going on. There was way more people than what's usually here today, so I kind of guess maybe that's what it is, and I'm just gonna call it a day. I'll start again tomorrow maybe, and we'll see what...
Tomorrow? See, there you go. Doubting Thomas.
Okay, so I'm the only one here right now, and the door just closed on its own.
No, I don't want to.
Did you see it? Cody is completely aware of what appears to be a small girl standing right behind him. When he walks into the room the figure appeared in, a door behind him slams shut. After reviewing his spooky footage, the investigator decides to return for another night. And it did not go well.
Okay, so I'm here by myself. All of these green lights
looks like a
means that
lady.
there's
It doesn't
no
look like
motion, right?
A young girl to me. Looks like an older
Look
lady.
in this room.
Maybe she's just crouching or something.
What in the world is that?
Or she could just be short. But it looks like an older lady. It doesn't look like a
That
kid
is insane.
or a girl.
I have never seen something like this. Beside me in the next room.
Good.
Did you see that? It disappeared. What in the world? Okay. I'm going over. I have to see what this is. See, and look. Here is the motion detection for me in this room. There I am on the screen. There's no motion detect. Look, it's moving. And there's no motion detection right there. That is nuts. Look at that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Learnings. Had some really funky stuff happen when I let people come on here. Like one guy was doing some bad things when I shared the link.
Okay,
so.
yeah. I'm gonna need Eric's help for this. I'm not gonna do this by myself.
Cody is shocked when suddenly a loud voice yells, "Leave." So could it be that the office building is haunted by a demonic presence? Or could it all just be an elaborate hoax? You decide. You can check out more paranormal moments over on Cody Aaron's TikTok page and YouTube channel. TikTok user Lacey Nicole is a theater teacher at Sarasota High School in Florida.
Hi, Lacey.
Lacey says that there have always been stories about the ghost of, quote, Shannon, a Victorian woman who is said to haunt the high school's theater. Back in 2007, during a high school production of Beauty and the Beast, many believed that Shannon the ghost made a very unexpected appearance, and it was all captured on camera.
Something keeps touching me. Stop it. Wow. Holy shnikes. Well, that's intense.
Oh my god. Terrifying.
The unexplained apparition of a woman in a flowing white dress can be seen floating 8 to 10 feet above the stage. Now, it should be noted that this was in no way a part of the play. So could this be the spirit of Shannon, the Victorian-era ghost that haunts the theater? Let me know what you think.
Come on. Century stink. Century stink. I really can't stand century stink. I need some.
The road less traveled. TikTok user Rifki from Bengkulu, Indonesia says that he was returning from a quick trip to pick up some items at the local convenience store. But on his way back home, he has a terrifying encounter.
Oke guys, gue baru dari Indomaret dan gue abis belanja di Indomaret dan sekarang waktu mau balik ke kos dan di ujung itu kayak ada orang atau apa gue nggak tahu ya guys, dan ini cuma jalan satu-satunya untuk ke kos gue gitu. Oke, kita deketin aja ya, oke, pelan-pelan. Gue nggak tahu ini orang atau enggak ya. Gue gak tau apa anjir. Hilang anjir. Kemana tuh orang? Anjir bangsat. Hilang guys.
A strange woman seems to just stand motionless on the side of the road. Rifki is freaked out, and since this is his only way home, he decides to just run past the bizarre woman. But when he turns to look back, she has disappeared. The chilling figure appears to be a woman in a dress with her hair covering her face. Rifki is uncertain of what he has just witnessed and wonders if he captured something paranormal. So is this a real ghost caught on camera, or just someone acting really strange? I leave it up to you to decide. The Casper Mountain Crawler. TikTok user Isaiah Harris and his cousin Brock are out on a hiking trip on Casper Mountain in Wyoming. In the middle of the night, as they are crossing a bridge, they start to hear strange groaning noises that seem to be coming from underneath the bridge. Isaiah pulls out his phone and starts to record as they go to investigate. What happens next is downright terrifying.
I think it's interesting for me.
Me and my cousin took a hike in the middle of the night.
That means that we're close.
And what we found was the most
Can't see the
terrifying
city
thing
anymore,
I've
but-
ever witnessed.
Somebody send me a new router. I've been on them for months to send me a new router.
Did you hear that?
Oh, you have two devices
You didn't hear
on
that?
your router, and that's just not true. 'Cause I have
There's
US
something
cable
under
in
there.
here at this moment. It used to actually work.
Bro.
Oh, glad you're here. Nice to see you.
Dude, please don't go down
Looks
there.
like you weathered the storm pretty well.
Oh my gosh. Dude, hold on. Let me go first. Right behind.
Yep. Now it's going to do another commercial, which is weird, because generally it doesn't do this.
Wow, I just built the most amazing workflow on Monday.com.
You build your own workflow? Why? There are a bunch.
Some bizarre pale humanoid shape can be seen lurking in the darkness of the sewer tunnel. The two hikers just make a run for it. Isaiah posted his spooky experience to TikTok and the video instantly went viral. But many viewers were skeptical about the strange sudden cut at the end of the video. So, Isaiah posted an update to explain.
So let me just explain something. I actually film on 3 different apps at a time to film my videos. Last night, I was trying to film everything on Snapchat. So whenever I recorded, whatever I recorded, I wasn't gonna just sit there and record it because I was running for my life, okay? And I'm not trying to be funny about this. Literally, I was puking. Like, I mean, opened his door mid-drive and vomited. I don't know if it was because I was genuinely terrified or if it was because I was running so much, but I did. But I did manage to screenshot what was under that bridge and enhance it for you guys, and I'll show you that. Yeah, let me just tell you, I've never been more terrified in my entire life. I can't even look at this picture right now. For you guys saying that it was like a friend
Grandma, what are you doing
or
in
like
that tunnel?
somebody else down there, it may have been a homeless guy. I heard that theory, but I do not know what he would have been doing down there, butt naked. Maybe taking a bath, but just the sounds and everything about it just did not sit right with me.
Now, after many requests, or some might say dares, from his viewers, Isaiah and his cousin Brock decide to go back to Casper Mountain and spend the entire night camping out in the spooky woods.
So we're doing it. We got the 4-wheeler in the back, tents, and a hammock that I brought. We're up here. So we're gonna spend the entire night to try to find whatever it was that we saw last night. We're up on the mountain where we did see it, kind of close by. There was a waterfall that's kind of more down the mountain, but we're gonna try and find it tonight. We're gonna be up all night. No sleep. All right, guys, we're here. We're about to unload the 4-wheeler, but have some fun, kind of just camp out for a little bit. We got our site, and yeah. We got your axe. This is how we do it down here in the Wyoming. Oh yeah, look at that brain.
Good job. Dude, why are you doing shit like that?
Okay, that's actually kind of creepy. Look, hope he doesn't jump out to scare me. Brock, please don't scare me.
Don't do it.
Oh my god. So he's got this terrible lighting. Oh my goodness. But we're literally trying to land the force real quick. We're just walking back right now. And like legit, I think we're lost because I don't have any idea where we're at.
What?
Do you know where we are?
Ew.
Dude. Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Okay, y'all, so we're back at camp. We didn't really get anything. We've been out here since like, what, we started looking at about 10 and it's already like 2:30. Sorry guys. Maybe we can come back up here and film another one, but I don't know.
Other than some creepy footsteps, Isaiah and Brock don't really capture much of anything that night. Or at least, that's what they thought. Because, did you see it?
You know where we are?
No. I heard it. I didn't see it.
Dude. Oh, hell no. Spooky.
Right after they hear footsteps, someone or something can be seen running through the trees, hiding in the dark. So, Isaiah and many of his viewers believe that some kind of strange creature is living on Casper Mountain. Some even believe this thing to be a skinwalker or a rake. But who or what do you think this is?
Get out of there, Granny.
Let me know down in the comments. Through the Looking Glass. TikTok user Kaylin Moore from Los Angeles, California claims that an old mirror in her home sometimes shows things that just aren't there.
So this is an old mirror that I upcycled.
So I don't know if you guys have heard this. Like, I know mirrors can be portals. Back in the day, people would cover their mirrors when people in their house would die or whatnot, so the spirit wouldn't go in there. But I heard recently every mirror has something attached to it. Is that true? Like, is it really a portal no matter what? You know, pretty trippy.
And I swear that sometimes you can see stuff in the background of the mirror that isn't actually there in real life. So I'm just gonna do a couple back and forths, but I'm curious to see if anyone sees anything that maybe I didn't catch. So here we go. Here's the mirror. Okay, so that's the background.
Outside that, not one of my brothers saw, like a smoky, hazy looking man in it. But also my ex-roommate, his daughter, saw the same guy in there.
My apartment.
And then recently it just flung itself and broke.
Comment if you see anything
I still gotta clean
that's
that
out of place.
Did you see it? As Kaylin's looking in the mirror, something can be seen sitting on the couch right behind her.
What are you doing back
But when she turns around, it's gone. Whatever it is, it seems to only be visible in the mirror. Now, whether it's real or just another elaborate TikTok hoax,
I don't like it.
As always, I leave it up to you to decide. Monique Chacon is spending a fun day with her son at a park in California when suddenly the little boy begins to act very bizarre.
Wow, it looks like something's talking to him. Right? I would turn that phone in. Probably something happened to whoever belonged to that phone, whose phone belonged to them. Didn't you see him like looking up like somebody was talking to him?
Out of nowhere, the boy just suddenly seems to stop and stare at someone or something that we can't see.
Damn,
then, without a moment's hesitation, he drops to the ground and starts digging furiously with his hands and finds a random phone from underneath the heavy pile of leaves. After watching the footage back later, Monique believes that something supernatural might have instructed her son to find that phone.
Hi guys, I'm just giving an update on what happened to the phone. Well, I threw it away. I didn't think anything at the time of when I threw it away. I shouldn't have until I watched the video. After watching the video, it didn't sit right with me. It kind of gave me the creeps, actually. But there really is no story time. The phone was broken. The face was cracked. There was a battery on top of the face, like in the front of the face, but it was broken. so I threw it away. That's it. There's really no story time. He just played, and I kept recording him. So that's what I do. I record all my kids when they're playing baseball, football at the park. I'm that mom that records every minute and second of their lives. But that's it.
Can't believe she threw it away.
So, unfortunately, Monique threw the phone away, leaving us all to wonder just what was on that broken phone. Now, I have to say that this is one of the strangest videos I've ever seen. But what do you think? Did a spirit tell the little boy to find the phone? Or just what is going on here? You tell me. A Newbern haunting. Sam Aldridge, his wife, and 2 young children live in a beautiful home in Newbern, North Carolina that was built in the late 1950s. Although the home is charming and spacious, Sam says that the property's history is not good. One of the previous owners passed away in the upstairs master bedroom, and the remains of 2 unidentified individuals were found buried in the backyard. Cause of death, unknown. Sam and his wife have both witnessed creepy, unexplained activity in the house, and they believe their home might be haunted. Even their family dog Loki seems very disturbed by what's going on.
He has no shot collar, no
Try to call them on Friday.
shot collar at all. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off, just so you'll know that there's nothing there. Come on, bud. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, buddy.
What is it, buddy?
Settle down.
Good to see you. Joel Adrian.
I posted it.
Is it laggy for you too, Adrian? Guess it's laggy on YouTube for Case.
See, me and him both heard that. And see, now he's gonna fucking run and leave me out here like a douchebag.
Hey.
See? Straight up.
Don't hate the player, just hate the game. Say Wick. Another commercial.
Wix
See, back in the
gives
day,
you the power of AI to build the website you need.
Myself a video, it wouldn't do this whole commercial.
Sam says that not only does the house have an odd history, but an odd layout as well. In particular, there is a strange door upstairs that seems to lead nowhere and has no stairs leading up to it. In a video, as Sam explains where the door is located, he captures something downright creepy.
You can kind of see just how high up that door actually is if you're on the bottom floor. Yeah, you're looking at 10 plus 8, so you're looking at least 18 feet from your feet
Adrian's saying it's
coming
down. It could be something to do with YouTube. I don't know.
A strange shadow figure can be seen, and 2 different voices can be heard seemingly speaking to Sam.
If you're on the bottom floor, bottom floor.
Oh yeah.
Why the f***?
Sam has no idea what he just captured and simply explains that the area behind the door is attic storage space. So, one night Sam begins to hear strange sounds throughout his house. He hits record on his phone and goes to investigate. And that's when he sees something that shocks him to his core.
Alright, see Hayes, sorry. Yeah, come back and watch it later. It should be better. Like, generally when it's uploaded and everything, like all the glitches go away, so yeah, hopefully you'll come back and watch it later. But hopefully Century Steep will send me a new router. Let's keep our fingers, toes, hairs, and eyes crossed. Man, my nose has been getting to me all night. I hope I'm not coming down with something. Wait.
Holy.
What looks like creepy, glowing, wide-set eyes seem to appear out of the darkness, peering at Sam as he stares back in terror. Whatever it is then just seems to disappear. And that's not all that Sam has captured inside his haunted home. The creepy activity even starts to occur in the middle of the day.
Well, that's not creepy. So they said somebody died in this house. Otherwise, like, what's going on with it?
A loud sound startles Sam, and when he turns around, a white translucent figure appears to push a rocking horse, causing it to rock slowly back and forth.
Did you see it?
Now, with all this collected and highly disturbing footage, of course Sam's TikTok following is undecided on whether to believe his story or just write it off as another elaborate TikTok hoax. So is it real supernatural activity or just some very good editing? As always, I leave that up to you to decide. Neighborhood Watch. Sarah Marie and her husband Bobby are having an afternoon get-together with some friends at their home in Florida, when suddenly they spot something very odd at the neighbor's house across the road.
It comes back the other way. Why? It looks like somebody's peeking through that window, the one that's open.
Yes.
Now recording?
Yes!
Look.
There's nobody in that house. There's nobody at all. Nobody.
I didn't know they could be that visible though.
This
That's what I was saying.
A strange shadow can be seen quickly moving back and forth in Sarah's neighbor's home, freaking out everyone and even seeming to upset their two puppies.
In that house. There's nobody at all.
Sarah explains online that the home belongs to an older woman whose son, sadly, had passed away. Worried about the older woman's safety, Sarah calls her neighbor, but the woman says, I'm not even at home right now.
Okay, so I have to tell you, I don't know if you guys know about the whole Dylan Redwine thing, but that's why I started Four Corners Paranormal in 2012 and came out of the paranormal closet. But we went up to do some paranormal investigating at the house where Dylan was forced by the judge to go and see his dad. And Glow and Kat went across the grate. Me and Sadie stayed on the other side of the grate that's in the driveway. And we're just looking at the house. It looked like the color of when a TV's on in your house is kind of like a bluish green color. But you could see something like running very fast in front of the window. It's just like that freaking thing. It was trippy.
So who or what could this be? I leave it up to you to decide. This next creepy video went viral on TikTok, but it was originally recorded by Indonesian Twitter user Gustadang. Goose explains on Twitter that he was flying from Surabaya, Indonesia to Bali, and that he was the very first passenger to board the empty plane. As Goose is boarding, he records a video to send back to his wife. When he looks back at his footage, he spots something truly chilling.
Selamat malam 15B.
What is happening? Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Someone or something that seems to be cloaked in black can be seen moving around in one of the seats. But when Goose walks by the seat, there's no one there. Gustadang's video has been watched over 14 million times, and many viewers believe that the strange figure in the video could be the spirit of a deceased passenger.
Oh my gosh.
But what do you think?
Kind of reminds me of the song.
The pitter-patter of tiny feet. An anonymous TikTok user who is the mother of a newborn baby has shared only one video to her TikTok page, but the video shows something absolutely chilling.
And she was pregnant with triplets or twins too. Now they're running around.
First, the eerie sound of someone laughing can be heard. The mother is immediately alarmed because she lives alone with her baby. She then hears the patter of what sounds like small running footsteps. And that's when her home's backdoor motion detector goes off. She immediately fears that someone might be in the house. But in the end, she finds nothing and no one's there. What she heard and captured remains a mystery. TikTok user Jim works at what he believes to be a haunted hospital in New Jersey. Early one afternoon, a security camera in one of the hospital's hallways captures something very creepy during Jim's shift.
One moment.
Hospitals are so creative.
A supply cart can be seen rolling down the hallway on its own, freaking out the hospital staff nearby. Jim and his coworkers have no idea what could have moved the cart, but things are about to get even stranger. Another CCTV camera in the hospital's laundry room records something absolutely unnerving.
Record it from here. Fine. How is this fucking possible? Sorry if I'm spoiling it for you, but this is impossible.
No way.
See what I'm saying?
No way.
What the crap is that?
Jim.
Send me the video when you...
Oh, I'm gonna.
The best is when the other one comes over. It's like it didn't want to see the front of it, you know? It's funded so that he didn't have to look at it no more, whoever's in that room.
I want a refund.
Oh my God.
Jim.
Madeline, you didn't see... Come and look at the second one. Here comes the second one. No, the second one's moving now.
No way.
Watch the second one, then the second one falls off. And the lady comes in from Do Diagnostics, she don't know what to say. She was like...
She was on FaceTime with somebody.
Look, watch the second one. Any second now.
It happens.
Look, here goes.
It
Look.
happens.
Look.
This does not happen.
Look. The ghost.
It happens. Yeah.
Look at it.
Who's spinning it?
It's spinning.
It's spinning the cycle. It's got to be spinning.
There's no way
Isn't
that
that
spin. There's no. I don't care if it's bolted or not. They don't spin like that. Mine ain't bolted in my house. Mine don't come and walk around my.
Look. See, look at that shit.
Look how that one
That
just
shit
came out.
should not be
How did it
moving
come out
like
like
that.
That was pushed out. I don't care what nobody says. You can tell me whatever you want.
Me too. I can't wait to show everybody.
Look, here, wait.
Where's Keith?
Show them the thing. Look here. Look at this. Look at that.
No way.
There's a ghost here.
No way.
I'm showing them the ghost in the back.
The ghost?
Oh, did you ever see what happened last night? I forgot about it. The laundry.
Will
died. The laundry, all the laundry things are there.
Yeah.
They just start moving. They just start coming out and moving and going in circles and what you call it.
Are they on?
Come and look. Yeah. But it's crazy. I never saw anything like it in my whole life.
Mira.
Heavy washers and dryers slide across the floor as if they weigh nothing, seemingly moved by some unseen force. Jim and his fellow hospital workers can't believe their eyes as they watch the CCTV monitor. Now, even I'm not sure just what's going on here. Could it be that the hospital is indeed haunted, like Jim says? Or just what could be spinning around multiple heavy washers all at the same time? Let me know what you think. Guardian Angel. Only a few months ago, TikTok user Tana Witt went through a devastating tragedy when her brother suddenly and without warning passed away. Tana's brother was incredibly close to her family, including her 2-year-old daughter, Evelyn. One night, Tana and her daughter are home alone when something happens that shocks Tana to her core.
Did you hear that? Holy shnikes. Sorry, guys. I need to pay for premium. I need to put more money into my band.
Time to help people customize and save.
Liberty bibbity.
Forgot my wallet.
Pretty fun, if you ask me, right? I guess I need to pay for a YouTube premium or whatever crap. Just one more thing out the wallet.
Who are you talking
Dustin
to?
Hoffman? I love that guy. I love Dustin Hoffman, the Rain Man. Cool.
Who are you talking to?
No. That's so cute.
Who are you talking to? Evelyn.
What does that mean, like time?
Who are you talking to?
It's a secret.
Who are you talking to?
Evelyn seems to be talking to someone that we can't see. And creepiest of all, a whispering male voice can be heard that seems to say, Uncle.
Who are you talking to?
Even stranger, baby Evelyn seems to have heard the voice as she happily shouts, Uncle, over and over.
Who are you talking to?
You're such a good unk. Makes me sad. Yeah.
Tana believes that without a doubt her 2-year-old daughter is speaking with her deceased brother, and that Evelyn is being looked after by her loving uncle from the other side.
It's just freaking awesome. Look at how
Keep a knocking.
good he is with her.
TikTok user Maru75 from Germany claims that one night he heard some very odd sounds coming from his living room. When he goes to check it out, things take a terrifying turn.
But it's funny. Here's the proof. Watch the door number. It's got a realist. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Holy shit, hearts. Oh my god.
Maru
now the
hears
door's
knocking
open.
from the
What
glass
crap?
back door, but as he looks, he spots some dark figure moving behind him in the reflection. He spins around, but there's no one there. He turns back toward the door, and the figure is gone, and the door has mysteriously opened by itself. So, is it real? Or is it just very clever video editing? As always, I leave that up to you to decide.
Thanks, Nick.
TikTok user Alexander Henderson says that throughout his life, he's always been prone to sleepwalk during the night. One morning, he wakes up to find his front door wide open. When he checks his security camera, he's shocked by what he finds.
Oh my god, oh my god. That is so fucking scary, dude. Okay, so is that like a street light out there or something? Like, is that why it looks like it's light out there? It's like a street light. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. See, I'm telling you, like, people that sleepwalk, like, okay, yes, it could be just something weird. But I think it's paranormal. Yeah, he didn't go to sleep and swear, nothing. He got dressed, he put on his hat. That is a light outside. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. No, 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 no. Super creepy in the room. Go back to bed. Go back to bed.
Alexander seems to be sleepwalking and speaking gibberish when something hanging next to the door starts swinging around on its own, and an empty water jug slides right across the floor. Alexander opens the door, walks outside, and suddenly screams.
What?
He says he has no recollection of what happened to him and has no idea why he screamed. Now, Alexander says he's experienced supernatural activity before.
So, you know, I'm wondering, like I'm saying, like, when shit like that happens to me, It could be just like genetics, but I think it's paranormal, supernatural, whatever the F you want to call it. When he went outside and screamed, like, could that have been like some sort of alien abduction sort of thing? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, please. It ain't right. It just ain't right.
So he begins to suspect that he might have seen something paranormal while sleepwalking. Then,
alien,
only a day later, this happens.
What the fuck, man? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
A chair moves on its own, the fridge door opens, and what appears to be a pack of plastic spoons is launched off the kitchen counter. Over the next few months, nothing much happens. But then late one night, Alexander is hanging out at his friend Adam's house when he sees something truly chilling.
Freaking really? Even at your friend's house? Oh, no. Oh, hell to the no. It's probably what he was seeing was that creepy ass bitch. He went out, he's like, what the hell is that?
A strange-looking woman wearing a red dress appears to be watching Alexander from the building across the street. Alexander claims that when his friend Adam finally came over to see what was going on, the creepy woman had disappeared.
I don't even
While there, Adam asks Alexander to take a look at a speaker that's been acting up and might be broken. Alexander is still recording and captures something terrifying.
Freaking serious. See? Look at that shit.
Button on the top and press it. If you're here to see, press the one in the middle.
What's happening? Why is it dark? What just happened? What is...
Did you see it? In the reflection of the window, the same woman in red.
Seriously. Are you freaking serious? F that.
Oh, what is it you're holding? A cookie?
Can suddenly be seen standing behind Alexander in the doorway. When he pans around, the woman has moved in an instant and is now standing right next to him. Who or what could this eerie-looking figure be? Could it be a spirit that attached itself to the sleepwalking TikTok user? Or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide. The doll, the demon, and the wardrobe. TikTok user Steph Garza claims that for the last 10 years she has experienced strange paranormal activity in her home in Mexico after purchasing a creepy secondhand doll. In the beginning, Steph started hearing the unexplained voice of a child crying out from within her home. Finally, she had had enough and just threw the doll away. But unfortunately, the paranormal presence never left. One night, Steph hears frightening sounds coming from her bedroom closet. What happens next shocks her to her core.
Espera, espera. Ve. Se está abriendo. ¿Ya viste?
Yes, there is.
Ya decidió hacerse presente el amigo. Y de día. Ay, no. Miren, 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 miren.
Okay, so just seeing that poster there, Deadpool, if you have not seen Deadpool Wolverine, you gotta go see that movie. It was amazing. The stuff was much better. Yeah, it was awesome. From the beginning to the very end, it was freaking amazing. Bitcoin wallet? What the crack is happening? Hello? Wow. Wow. That's freaking weird. I think my computer is possessed. Nita. Where do I go to Bitcoin wallet? Yes, I need to go there. I need to figure out where my Bitcoin went, but I did not push that.
No mames. Ya decidió hacerse presente el amigo. Y de día. Ay, no. Miren, miren. Ay, no.
Nothing there. That just happened.
Para que no digan que está en la ropa. ¿Dónde?
A tiny little childlike hand wraps around the closet door and quietly slides it open.
does not look like a kid
Doubtful
hand.
viewers
That
of
looks like
Steph's
an adult
TikTok
hand.
assume someone must be hiding inside the closet. But Steph shows that there's no one there. Steph Garza believes that the sinister presence in her home may be a demon, only taking on the form of a small child. But
That's not
what
a
do
kid's
you
hand.
think?
That is a
Is it
fucking
real,
adult hand.
or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
You decide.
Thanks so much for watching. If you listen to absolutely none of the rest of this, please hit the subscribe
Exactly. Subscribe, Noobs Talk 5.
button and click the little bell icon so you never miss an episode. Because my posting schedule is crazy and I'm sorry about that, but this way you'll never miss a video. Please.
So I think like what's going on in his life, like I think he's got some family issues happening, but I want to thank you guys once again so much for joining me on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's been freaking amazing. So for the first 2 hours, we were reading Douglas Adams. Life, the universe, and everything. I tell you everything. So that was freaking awesome. And then we ended it with a creepy video. I feel like I've shared this one before, but I could be wrong. I need to remember to delete videos once I share them. So, anyways, thank you so much to everyone that came out tonight to join me on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I had a wonderful time. Can't wait to do it again next weekend. I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know from day to day. I know next weekend I'm going to be working overnight security at the fair. So who knows? I might do some lives from there. Definitely going to do the show before I go to overnight security, where I come home at like, I think I get off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then 2 hours later, the day shift comes along. But could be 6, could be 8, I'm not sure. But I love doing security, and I love overnights, and I love all the creepy stuff that happens. So yeah, I'll try to do some live videos so you guys can partake in that because it's pretty damn interesting. Thank you to all of my friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, eTalk Radio, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever you're listening this evening. Beyond the Omniverse. Had an awesome time. Can't wait to do it again this next weekend. And I just want to say, you guys, don't forget, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world a bit better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us, or me, or this, or that. This whole thing, this whole shindig I'm doing. Until next time, nighty night, live and light. Take care of my news. Please don't work too hard this week, and please don't take life too seriously. Take it easy, take care of my news, and I will see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place. Nighty night, live and light, you guys. You have a good one. Bye, man.